Welcome to Ask Dr. Geier Live. Wherever you're watching, hope you're making today your masterpiece. It is that time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, where I am more than happy to answer your questions. If you've been to this before, you know this is the only place, the only time during the week that I answer orthopedic questions. Surgery, injuries, rehab, recovery, that kind of thing. I don't do it in response to emails. I don't do it in response to comments left under videos, anything like that, because honestly, I don't have that kind of time. But this is your chance. If you have orthopedic questions, this is your time to ask those. Yes, you have to ask them live. For those of you also new, don't leave them in the comments under YouTube. Leave them in the chat. That's where what I can see through Restream, which is how I get this feed out to you on my Thursday Better Than Ever live shows. It's how I get it out to also not just YouTube, but Facebook and LinkedIn. Georgia, hello. It's good to see you. Donald, very good to see you. Also, please remember, nothing I say, no answer that I give is meant as medical advice. This is meant only for general information and educational purposes only. I haven't seen you, I haven't examined you, looked at x-rays, MRIs, any of that. So I am just giving you information that hopefully you can take to your doctor and say, hey, what about this? Or maybe you can better understand what he or she told you, but it is not telling you what to do. It is not medical advice. If you would like to see me formally as a patient, and I get several requests, not just several, a lot of requests from all over the country. The information is in the description below this video, drdavidgeier.com. Fill out the contact form, and we can arrange for you to come see me in Charleston, South Carolina. All right, Georgia says, saw my ortho last week. He's very disappointed. Yeah, that's never good when an orthopedic surgeon's disappointed in you. But it could be worse. It could be disappointment. Well, I should read the rest of this. My quads are not getting as strong as I haven't been going to the gym as I should. I'm so afraid to get hurt. Yeah, it is one of those things when orthopedic surgeons are frustrated you're not doing your home physical therapy exercises, whatever it is, or they're disappointed because you put weight on something you weren't supposed to be putting weight on, or you were using your arm up above head too soon after surgery, whatever it is. Never a good thing. In this case, getting quads strong is something that is challenging. There's no question. Early after a knee surgery, that's as simple as sort of straight leg raising. As you get past that, it's things like leg presses or body weight squats to build strength. It's also sometimes working with a physical therapist that can be very helpful to do that. Having said that, I get the fear of getting hurt, and it depends a little bit on where somebody is out from surgery and what the specific nature is. Typically getting strength back, if you get far enough out from a knee surgery, leg presses, squats are thought to be as safe as anything because your foot is fixed on a surface, which means your quads and hamstrings both fire, which protect the stability of the joint, more so than isolated leg extensions, for example, which would build quad strength back, but puts a lot of stress on the bones and cartilage and ligaments and everything in the knee, for what that's worth. I hope that's helpful, and I hope it gets better. I really, really do. Alrighty. Lydia did meniscus repair 2 weeks ago. Hip, joint, lower back starts to hurt when I lie or sit for long periods of time. What might be causing it? Let me see if there's more about this. Toe touch weight bearing. Sit on a chair for meals or bath. My foot rests on the ground. Is that okay? Do I still need to ice? All right, again, this is not medical advice. So what I tell you, you need to get from your doctor. This is generally what I think. So meniscus repair is a little different, and I don't know if this is what she had. What makes me think this is what she had is the toe touch weight bearing. Typically, if the surgeon goes in and trims out part of the meniscus, and roughly 85% of meniscus surgeries in adults at least are trimming out the torn part of the tear, not sewing it together with stitches, a true meniscal repair. So sometimes people think they have a meniscal repair. Very often they didn't. But if they limit your weight bearing, that makes you think that, yeah, maybe that's what that is. Toe touch is basically when you're standing in line, you're on crutches, you just rest your foot lightly on the ground, but you don't put any weight on it. You certainly don't put any weight on it with walking. You don't push off at all. That's the limit of toe touch weight bearing. Ice is a good thing after really any knee surgery when there's swelling involved. Certainly by 2 weeks, I think that's generally still a good thing. And then the other thing you see sometimes with an injury, whether it's meniscus, ACL, it can be anything, where you're limited in putting weight on one side, so people naturally put more weight than they normally do on the other side. It alters how they walk, so the knee or the hip on that side starts to hurt, or maybe it's the lower back from that imbalanced walking. Once people can walk normally, usually those aches and pains get better. I'm not a huge Pilates I was going to say enthusiast. That's not the right word. I love Pilates in terms of overall exercise. I don't know that much about Pilates in terms of rehab, but I would expect it to be very safe as far as a way to get quad strength back. Donald says, my surgeon said they use cadaver ACL on my left knee. Have you ever heard or done something like that? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cadaver allograft for ACL. I know that some surgeons do it a lot. It used to be sort of if you're over 40, that's what they recommended because it's less painful. You're not taking tissue from your knee to make the ACL. You're taking tissue from a donor, somebody that dies in a car accident or whatever, and they harvest the tendons and ligaments and everything like that. I think there are circumstances it can be a good idea. Sometimes in revision surgeries it can be necessary, even though there's options, tissue from the other knee. There's options using your own tissue even in revision surgeries. I certainly don't like allografts, which is tissue from another person, cadaver grafts, allografts, in active people, athletes. You certainly never see it high school, college, pro athletes, and that's largely because it has a much higher failure rate, re-tear rate. And so I got to where I just was really using it very, very rarely. Bina, it's good to see you. You are so welcome, Lydia. Let's see. VB says, daughter, 12 and a half years old, ACL rupture, right knee, playing basketball. Orthopedic surgeon said reconstruction. I assume that's ACL with LAT, Lemaire procedure. I will tell you, I'm not 100% sure I'm familiar with that, or if I am, I don't know that acronym. So if you want to give me a little more information. High rate of re-injury. Yes, younger athletes, when you're talking 10, 11, 12 years old, it probably is a slightly higher re-injury rate compared to adults, and there's a number of factors for that. The big thing is doing something that's as anatomic as possible that does not involve drilling through growth plates and placing the graft through growth plates. So I assume that procedure involves a way to route the tendon, because normally when you drill holes to basically make a new ACL, you do it in a place, in adults it doesn't matter, even high school and college kids where the growth plates are fused, you can put those in and it doesn't go through any open growth plates. But in young kids, that same path would drill through open growth plates. So in pediatric orthopedic ACL surgeries, there's ways to do it not drilling through the growth plates. The problem is with, and I don't know necessarily that procedure, but the problem in a 12-year-old is that if you said, all right, I'm going to wait till they're done growing, or I don't want to do ACL surgery, it's almost impossible to hold kids back. Maybe you can hold them out of sports, but they're still going to play with their kids, things like that. And their knee is unstable, and you could do more damage to the cartilage, more damage to the meniscus, either meniscus in the knee, that can lead to long-term damage. So that's why the trend is now much earlier ACL reconstructions in kids than it was maybe 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago even. Bina says, tennis and golfer's elbow, tried PRP, 2 years of physio, still no improvement. Arthroscopic surgery last year, no result. Yeah, typically that's not something that you do arthroscopically, but I suppose surgery, I guess there's a couple things, and again, it's hard to say without seeing you. I would want to know that the diagnosis is right. That's the first thing I think about when all the conventional treatments, none of them are helping. Is there something else going on? Is it pain from the neck? I mean, it could be any number of things. Having said that, there is a higher failure rate of surgery in people that had a bunch of cortisone shots for tennis and golfers, especially tennis elbow. So the trend is really getting away from cortisone shots for tennis elbow, going to things like platelet-rich plasma. Even though the studies are sort of all over the place with PRP, it's still probably safer, doesn't have the increased risk of recurrence and lower rates of recovery. There's even talk that stem cells and exosomes might be helpful. There's talk that peptides like BPC 157 might be helpful. Those are considered experimental by the FDA, as is PRP, but something that when nothing else is working that people consider. I would say the big thing, though, is trying to find out where the problem is actually coming from. VB, I'm glad. I hope that was helpful. Amit, it's good to see you. It's daytime, our time, but I'm assuming you are many time zones ahead of me. All right, Karanvir says, I'm getting back spasms frequently, comes again after 2 days. I would want to know what the cause of the back spasms are. Is it a muscular issue, which can happen, or is it something in the spine? Bulging disc in the lumbar spine, herniated disc, something like that. Typically herniated disc, in addition to maybe muscular back spasms, causing pain down one of the leg, causing numbness or tingling down one of the legs, whereas a herniated disc is more localized to the lower back. That's kind of what I'd want to know. Donald says, fibula bone be out of place at the top by the hip. The fibula's in the leg, so I'm not sure how that would be at the hip. It's the bone on the outside of your lower leg to the outside of the shin bone, so I'm not 100% sure what that means. Titanium button and ACL reconstruction, does it react in the body? No, typically titanium is a very... I don't know if inert's the right way, but it typically doesn't cause reactions the way that stainless steel did in the days. But when I was a resident, some of the nails used for tibia and tibial and femoral fractures were stainless steel, and a small percentage of people, nickel allergies, things like that, could react to them. And so pretty much everything switched to titanium. I can't say I know of people that react to titanium screws. The biggest factor sometimes with titanium screws or buttons in ACL surgeries would be not so much the buttons, but titanium screws for ACL surgery is if it retore and you had to do a revision surgery, you a lot of times have to take the prior screws out when you go to do the revision surgery. Muscular spasm, both sides of the lower back, pain only on the side. So yeah, I mean, I think I would maybe consider, and again, this is not medical advice, but maybe working with a physical therapist for some stabilization exercises that you can do on your own for your lower back. And if that works, great. If it doesn't, maybe see an orthopedic surgeon and see what it could possibly be. A lot of good questions today. I really appreciate that. If you have any more, I'll wait about another 30 or 60 seconds. I actually didn't think I was going to be able to make it. I was supposed to have somebody work in this very studio fixing something, and he could only come at noon, but he canceled on me and isn't coming till Tuesday, so we got away with it. Again, if you would like to see me in Charleston, South Carolina, I'd love to help. Double board certified in orthopedic surgery and sports medicine. Hopefully soon also board certified in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. So lots of cool, innovative treatments that I can talk about as well. Information, drdavidgeier.com, is in the description below this video. Go there and fill out the contact form, and we can arrange for you to see me in Charleston, South Carolina. There's other ways potentially we could work together as well. Okay, you're very welcome, Amit. Bina, you are more than welcome. And Georgia, I appreciate that. It is our Labor Day weekend here in the United States. So I hope everybody in the United States has a safe but very fun break holiday. Those of you not in the United States, I apologize, but I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I will see you right back here next Friday for Ask Dr. Geier Live. Have a terrific weekend.